Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
Absolute format is the best way to own this store. Time to empty those wallets and fill those shelves. How's it going, all you minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the Batman Detective Comics by Peter Tomasi Omnibus from DC Comics. So, let's go ahead and get started. And welcome back, everybody. So, what we're going to be looking at today is the latest Batman Omnibus from DC Comics. This is another one that is a creator-centric omnibus, and it's by Peter Tomasi, one of my favorite writers. Oh my gosh, everything that he has written has been amazing. Now, this isn't the first time he's written the Batman character, because he also wrote one of my favorite Batman runs, and that is the Batman and Robin Omnibus. And we'll come back to this here in a little bit. Now, the stories in here have been previously collected in a series of trade paperbacks throughout the years. Now, the trade paperbacks, or standard size hardcovers, how they originally came out, they do have the one issue that is missing from here. If you're a completist and you have to have everything, that particular issue is issue number 117. It's the one that's written by Tom Taylor. Or not 117, I'm sorry, 1017. I forgot I'm talking about Detective Comics. When I get to open the book and talk about the stories, I'll tell you what it is exactly, and if it's really important at all for this collection or not. The other thing I want to do with the video is also answer the question that I know I'm going to be asked is, when do you read this, and where is this in the reading order of Batman and Detective Comics? So I will talk a little bit about that, and one very important thing that I think you need to read before going into this. But let's take a closer look at this first. We have Batman Detective Comics by Peter J. Tomasi Omnibus, and there you have a new cover by Doug Mahnke. Batman Detective Comics, Peter J. Tomasi, and Omnibus, and there you have Batman. That's another one by Doug Mahnke in the background there. DC logo, and I like that. The logo of Batman Detective Comics up there. And then this back piece. There you have a little blurb about the stories in here, and the ISBN and retail price. Speaking of retail price, this book is $150. Now, when I was showing off the spines, if you're a big fan of omnibus collections and you're a big fan of Peter Tomasi and you already have his omnis, well, you're going to love those spines and how they're going to be put on your shelf. That's if you have a Peter Tomasi shelf. I don't know if you do, or if you separate them in alphabetical order or by character. But this is the way they look. I assume when we get the Green Lantern Corps, it will also have a spine like this. That's going to be really cool, and that comes out, I believe, next week. And then maybe the Super Sons Extended Super Duper Omnibus, as it comes out later on this year, will also have a matching spine. But this is the way they look together. Now, before we take the dust jacket off, I did want to show how it fits into the reading order of Batman really quick. So it fits right after the rise and fall of the Batman. And that's where I'm putting it, because these are both Detective Comics run, one by Tynion and then one by Tomasi. However, there are a couple of volumes that are missing. This collects issues 994 to 1016 and then 1018 to 1033. And Tynion's run ends on 981. So there is a Detective Comics Volume 8 trade paperback. It's called On the Outside that you'll need. And then there is a Detective Comics Volume 9, The Face to Face. And those will get you caught up to speed. So those go in between the Tynion Omnibus, The Rise and Fall of the Batman, and this one here. For those that are sticklers for continuity and want to have everything. Now, the other big question before I talk about what's included in here is what you should read. If you're reading everything already, if you're a stickler for continuity. So I'm not talking to you all. I'm talking to the people that just, are barely getting into Batman, dipping their toes into the character, and I've only read the Rebirth era. The most important thing to read before this is the Tom King City of Bane story. And that is collected in the hardcover volume 6, or it's a fat trade paperback or 2 trades. It's called City of Bane. Now, you can read the whole Tom King series if you want to, but this is the most important one to read because something that happens in here affects what happens later on in an issue of Batman. As a matter of fact, I can't even talk about it. That is, giving the name of what's collected in here without going into spoilers. So I will let you know ahead of time when I'm going to be going through what's collected in here. So underneath that dust jacket is this image from series artist Brad Walker. And again, you do have the spine that separates the image there, but it is a wraparound image. All right, so now we're going to crack this book open, look at the artwork, talk about the content, and kind of give you the pitch of the stories collected in here. Again, one of the stories that's collected in here, the title is a big spoiler. So if you don't like spoilers, just fast forward to the part of the video where I'm looking at the build of the book and talking about the extras in the back. I just want to give everybody a fair warning. But there's nothing I can do about what's collected in here if the title is a spoiler. All right, let's go ahead and crack this sucker open. All right, let's go ahead and crack this omnibus open. Here we have the end sheets. I love when they utilize end sheets like this. It's not just a blank color. Blank color, does that even make sense? Or an end sheet that's a different color. I love that they're utilizing it to put different villains on here. This is from, I believe it's taking pictures from 1027. It's kind of hard to tell what issue it's from because as I was reading this, I noticed that yes, you do have a table of contents and yes, you have page numbers, but sometimes the issues don't tell you what issue you're on, like the covers. You don't know what issue you're on unless it has a variant cover. But yeah, I mean, but I believe it comes from 1027. And it's taking some of the pictures out from the frames. Here's a piece by Doug Mahnke. And then your credits right here. Peter J. Tomasi, James Tynion doing some of the Joker War stories in here. And then the title of the omnibus. Here's your pencilers. Mainly it's Doug Mahnke and Brad Walker. But you also have Christian Deuce and Kenneth Rocafort and Kyle Hotz. It was nice to see his art in here. That's during the Spectre story, which I think is phenomenal. And then your inkers like Andrew Hennessy and Jaime Mendoza. Your colors like David Barron and Nathan Fairbairn. And then your letters right there like Rob Lay and Travis Lapham. So here is your table of contents. So what is collected in here? All right, here we go. Remember when I mentioned that little bit of a spoiler? Well, I think most people probably know, or some people don't care about spoilers, but I did want to warn the people that want to read and be surprised. So this collects Detective Comics 994 to 1016 and 1018 to 1033, as well as Detective Comics Annual 2 and Annual 3. And it also has Batman Pennyworth R.I.P. So that's the issue I was talking about. And why is it missing 1017? Well, that's the one that's not written by Peter Tomasi. That one is written by Tom Taylor, and it was kind of a fill-in issue. And I really wish they had collected it in here. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, it kind of interrupts the flow of one of the stories in here with Mr. Freeze. But I feel like no man left behind, no orphaned issues is always my mentality, but both DC and Marvel do this whenever it's a creator-centric book. And here is the rest of the table of contents, and then you have the cover here to what the story arc is called. Oh, what's it called? Mythology, I think? It's the one that kicked it off. But yes, let's go ahead and talk about what's in here. So sometimes the variants are on the opposite side, and like I said, that's where you'll find the issue number. So Mythology kicks off with what I thought one of the best Batman stories to come out of Rebirth. It was really interesting because you have this mystery of a villain that is going in and pretty much recreating the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. So that's kind of how it all starts. Batman is investigating this case with Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Gordon's telling him, they're even dressed like the Waynes, and Batman immediately figures out, okay, this is the anniversary of their death. And of course, he immediately figures it out because he's Bruce Wayne. Commissioner Gordon doesn't know that, though. But now he's trying to figure out why this is happening and why the people close to him are being attacked. So it goes through this really deep dive on the character of Batman. You get to see Arkham Asylum, you get to see the way that he handles a lot of his villains and his rogue gallery, and whoever this villain is knows him personally and wants to destroy him mentally and physically. And it's a really awesome, not just character study on his villains, but the man himself, the man behind the mask. And I thought that was such a strong opening to that story, like to his Batman run. I thought it was awesome. And all of it, of course, drawn by Doug Mankey. In issue 1000, we get the introduction of a new character named the Arkham Knight, but not before the celebration of Batman, because we reached Detective Comics 1000, and we get a little bit of the man behind the mask here and all his rogue gallery. I think this is such an awesome issue. But then we get the Brad Walker issues in here. This is where we are introduced to this Arkham Knight. Now, of course, the Arkham Knight, if you've played the Batman games, you probably have an idea what exactly he or she is. But in this version, the Arkham Knight has decided that Batman is a cancer, that Batman is a vigilante that has no rights over anyone else. He should not be arresting people, he should not be beating people up, and he is the reason why there are villains coming into the city. And this is a theory that has been talked about many a times, right? Like, it comes full circle. If there is no Batman, then there are no super crazy people dressing up and coming to Gotham. And the Arkham Knight has had enough and wants to stop Batman because he's tired of all these innocent people being endangered. And one of the things the Arkham Knight wants to do is recruit a legacy character, I guess, a sidekick in Damian Wayne. But Damian's like, I already have Batman. Why do I need to be the sidekick to someone else? So this one has a couple of twists and turns as to who the Arkham Knight really is. And is the Arkham Knight really there for the good of the people of Gotham? And this is the issue I was talking about. This is the art by Brad Walker, where they took the characters and put them on the end sheets from this issue. So they took them out of the panels in the background. And this is more of a character study on Batman and how he deals with each of the villains, his nemesis, if you will. Annual number 2 is one of my favorite stories, and that is because we have this character, and that is the Reaper from Batman Year 2. And it's an interesting story because, again, it's like editors and writers at DC don't know, did Batman Year 2 really take place? And if it didn't, then how can this story take place? Anyway, if you're a fan of Batman Year 2, this one is really cool. Alright, let's keep going here because this is the Kyle Hotz story right here with the Spectre. So they're investigating the death or somebody actually shooting the character of Jim Corrigan. So that's where the Spectre steps in and tries to find out who it is, with, of course, teaming up with Batman, but not before fighting Batman, because that's just the way this works. This is the Greetings from Gotham. This is another one of my favorite stories in this collection because it benefits from not being a multiple part storyline. It's just a one and done story, and it's just the Joker going around a carnival and just murdering and being menacing like he usually is. And if Batman's going to put a stop to it. And I like stories like that where it's just a one and done. You don't need to read anything else afterwards. It's not continuing into a multi-part saga, which is, what most of these stories are, like this one here with Deadshot. This is a 3-parter where Bruce Wayne, he's heading to a climate change summit, and the plane crashes because it's been hijacked by Deadshot. Now, this is Deadshot after, of course, Suicide Squad and the Secret Six, and I think they're trying to find a place for him in the DC universe. So it's Batman versus Deadshot, but really it's Bruce Wayne versus Deadshot on this he's out of Gotham, so it's actually a really cool story. I like that one too. This is the Cold Vengeance story, which ties a little bit into what was happening in the pages of Superman, where Lex Luthor's messing around and giving villains gifts. Like in this particular story, it's giving Mr. Freeze exactly what he's always wanted, a cure for his wife Nora. Now, of course, this being Lex Luthor and this being a superhero story, it doesn't go quite as planned. And this is where you get the issue 1017 that's written by Tom Taylor in there. So, like I said, it kind of breaks up the story a little bit. This is the Alfred Rest in Peace. And like I said, don't read this, at least this story, before reading the Bane City at War, so you find out exactly what ended up happening to Alfred. But it's the characters, dealing with the impact. And Tomasi really, this one hits hard. He really just knows how to write a good story that hits you right in the feels. He did the very same thing in the pages of Batman and Robin, too, for the people that have read that. And then you have the two-parter here. It's like a weird Christmas story, but of course, being a Batman story, it's not that simple. Now, this is the beginning of the Joker War with Two-Face and his role in the Joker War, and pretty much teaming up with Batman. You actually get the Joker War stories in here, but just for Detective Comics, because it was a big event at DC. So it wasn't just the pages of Detective Comics, but also the pages of Nightwing and the pages of Batgirl. And again, you see Batman and Two-Face kind of putting their differences aside to kind of team up and try to defeat the Joker. There's artwork there by Kenneth Rocafort, which then all of it leads to the finale of Tomasi's run on Batman. Oh, this right here, The Week. This is such an excellent story. It's all written, of course, by Tomasi, but Eduardo Rizzo does the artwork in this one, and it's just a week in the life of the man known as Batman. So yeah, all of it leads into the final story arc, and the final story arc features the return of one of Batman's biggest nemesis, and just going all out, again, kidnapping the Bat family and just torturing Batman / Bruce Wayne in the only way this character knows how. Let's look at the extras now. Alright, so for anybody that did not want any spoilers, here are all the extras. So this is the behind the scenes gallery, because not a lot of variant covers are collected back here, because in between the chapters is where most of the variant covers are collected. I'll show you those here in a little bit. The biography on the wonderful folks that worked behind here. And this is what you get, little thumbnails to finished pages, and then you get the script back here. If you can read that, more power to you. If you can't read that, you might have enjoyed Thundercats, Transformers, and G.I. Joe in the 80s. And we might need some readers to read that stuff. Just saying. And then the end sheets back here. Very similar to the end sheets at the beginning. Alright, let's look at the binding of the book. 982 pages. It is sewn binding. And there's that eye. And I will say, it's been a while since I've had a book this tight from DC Comics. It doesn't shut on you like the old school books used to. But I did have to stretch the spine just as many times as I did the Immortal Hulk Omnibus. And that is a big book. This one has 982 pages. But in order to get it to open up properly, I had to stretch the spine a lot. So there is some gutter loss, not too much. And I think you notice it, or I did mainly, whenever there's word bubbles right up against the gutter curve. Just have to hold it down a little bit. And again, I've stretched the spine 4 times. I don't know if they use different glue on this one or not. Or it just could be my copy, because sometimes that happens. And it's not across the board. But that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsors.
If you're in Europe and you're interested in buying these books, definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices, flat shipping rate of €12 for all EU countries, emails answered within 24 hours, waltscomicshop.com, and you can use the code nearmintcondition at checkout and get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order over €40. That's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ding!
CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, the build, and when to read it, and then of course what's missing from this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking this up, if you enjoyed Peter Tomasi's run on Batman, whether it was the Batman and Robin or whether it was this particular omnibus. I would love to know all those comments down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. We are on Patreon and Spreadshop, amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.